let's jump into your presentation. You have
Okay.
about 15 minutes.
15 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. Let's just see if I can share my screen. Okay, let me go back here. All right, thanks, Neil. Well, I put this together pretty quick because I wasn't sure I was even going to be speaking, but okay, here we go. This is sort of overview of how we are different than these ETs. So, you know, this is kind of the thing I've started my whole YouTube channel about. Is called New Realities. And when we discover that we're not just of this earth, we can stick our heads through another level of reality and really understand that there's a greather consciousness here. So, this is my interview with Moulton Howe. Just going to show a little bit because she's really going beyond all this and trying to understand what will happen to history and consciousness as we get. Not, I know it's up to us, but you know, as the government comes out, she calls it a mind-cracking headline. I'm just going to show a little bit of this because I really like her words. Not alone in the universe. What does that mean for the population of the planet?
Can't hear it, Alice. Will you
Oh, really? I think I didn't press.
Yes, sure.
Let me just press. Sorry. Okay. Okay, I'll go back into screen share. Yeah, I have to press optimize advanced. Wait. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, let me just press screen share. Basic. Okay, sound, and I'm glad you told me you couldn't hear it. So
your volume's a little low too.
Is it? Okay, thanks. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me I don't know what it's doing. Let's just see. Okay. What if we get that mind-cracking headline, "We're not alone in the universe"? What does that mean for the population of the planet and for you and the history of civilization?
Finally, a truth. As simple as that. If you look back 5,000 years or 12,000 to Göbekli Tepe, and you look at the history of this planet, is demonstrably one in which Homo sapiens sapiens is abused. Because from my point of view, if you are a civilization that evolves for 12,000 years, and you are always under the thumb of another intelligence that manipulates you, and that humans are never, ever talked to, communicated honestly, then we are today in the 21st century, 12,000 years later. We are an abused species. And part of this abused species is going out into the Milky Way galaxy and beyond without a single general human population knowing and it being told we're not alone.
Once we do know, what does that mean? What is that? How does that shift our reality?
That we are finally being given respect enough for the truth of something so huge. We're not only not alone in the universe, and that I would stress there are other intelligences and they really care about us.
Yeah.
They want us to get past this difficult time of lies, deception by other forces that have never told humans the truth.
Right. So that's just a little bit of an understanding of why we have not been able to really expand the creative potential we already have. That why we're still stuck on fossil fuels, and why human beings are not educated to know who we really are on spiritual levels. This is a picture by Alex Gray, but this is us sitting in the eternity of creation. This is our true essence here. This is who we really are. And this is what we have to get back to. So I'll just go through this quick, because this is part of a whole hour presentation. We cannot see the world except through some perspective or imaginal framework. In short, some myth. The myth we see is the one we're in. We have been shut down. And so what we're coming together here with all the things I'm doing, and Neil and Sheila, is waking up to the potential of our true essence. So if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to us as we are, infinite. But we've closed ourselves, or other intelligences have closed ourselves up, and we see the world just through a narrow hole in the fence. So what started to activate this awareness to me was when I met John Mack. John Mack, in his book, and this is me and John Mack going out for coffee, he was a huge influence on this movement, because he did say it was beyond UFOs. He did say it was consciousness. He said, we're dealing with a phenomenon which violates our sense of reality, which operates in the gray area between the physical and subjective world. We're being asked to prove these methods by physical science alone, but those methods, in my view, will not yield its secrets until we discover other ways of knowing. Other ways of knowing means we have to get out of linear thinking. We have to use a different part of our brain. We're so used to just the left brain, the analytical, the logical. This is an example. Okay, this is what we come in with, all this color and imagination. And by the time we're 5, we're shut down. We're put into a box. We're learned ABC 1, 2, 3. There's nothing wrong with that, but whoever it is, whatever it is, they've knocked out our creative imagination. Our creative imagination is key to the understanding of the true human being. So what we're doing now is opening up the creativity so we can access those other worlds, because creativity is multidimensional. I love this quote from J.J. Hurtak from the Keys. How do we understand the language of light? Intuitive knowing. We don't collapse the wave function. I put that in there. Sacred symbols appear as light geometries. It's what Flo is saying. The word is a reflection of cosmic thought. The right and left sides prepare us for other worlds. The higher meaning of language is not in comprehension. It's an apprehension. Symbols are instant communication. So the voyage of discovery is not in seeking new lands, but in having new eyes, which means understanding who we really are on a non-logical, going beyond the rational into the super rational. And this is one of the visionaries of our time says, when this happens, and H.G. Wells, you wrote War of the Worlds, but after that he kind of had an awakening. He said the time is close at hand where any student, any part of the world, will be able to sit with their own projector and their own study and be able to examine at convenience any book an exact replica. At the time he didn't know what he was talking about, but he sensed the future, just like we are sensing a future of peace, prosperity, abundance, creativity for everyone. That is the future. That is our destiny. So our creativity and imagination are the evolutionary impulses. It's hardwired into us to be connected to the flow of creation, and it pours through each one of us every second. So we have to align with ourselves, and I think as this break in the government happens, they are giving us hints about what the true possibilities of this creation, of this greater creation, because there's a struggle inside government to disclose or not disclose, even though we don't need disclosure. So they went from UFO, unidentified flying object, to UAP, unexplained aerial phenomena, because this is not about objects. This is about a multiple sensing awareness that takes us into new realms of reality. So I put together in my longer presentation what the common factors for quantum physics UFOs are. Consciousness. That is the thing. Consciousness. The brain functions on quantum physics. It is quantum. It is non-local. It exists in many realms. The brain is like the radio receiver looking for consciousness, and the brain is looking for the announcer inside the radio. If you open it up, you're not really going to find anyone in there. It's just a receiver. Our minds are receivers, and our minds are non-local. That's the key here. We are non-local, and we just think we're localized in this body. And it's great to be grounded in the body, but we have to realize that when we have a creative thought, it's coming from somewhere else. So let me just see. So we went from UFOs to UAPs, and part of that in the government studies was the cognitive human interface. This is why it's not about objects, it's about other things. In the government studies, the ATIP program, Eric Davis also produced the science of wormhole physics. But the key to the government studies was that what was considered phenomena is quantum physics. There's the hint that things are dualistic. In the quantum realm, there is no objective reality. It is all subjective. So what does that mean when we're quantum? That means we can't collapse the wave function into knowing. It means thought has to be more abstract. So it means thinking abstractly, going from apprehension to comprehension. I've given this talk before. So what does it mean to be abstract? When you think, it's like what emojis are. You give someone a thumbs up, it just doesn't mean okay, it means right on, it means thank you, or it means I'm with you. So these ways of understanding symbols are how ETs, I feel, think. In order to understand their technology and understand how we're going to communicate with them, we have to think more abstractly. We have to get out of this box that we've been put in since we've entered school, ABC 1, 2, 3, and start to extend our awareness to other realms. So I just want to talk to you about a little bit between signs and symbols, because as we move symbolically into clusters of meaning, into abstract thought, we give up a linear way of understanding the world. When you see a tree, it's much more than a tree. It's a great being of consciousness. So when we come to that understanding, we see the world as multiple dimensions of reality. So the difference between sign and symbol, this is a sign, and when you put that sign in a polluted water, it's no longer means what it says it means. It becomes a symbol of a greater consciousness. So that's sort of where I'm going with this. This is a little meditation to bring us into this realm. As our mind becomes more conscious, as we become more aware of the capacities of consciousness, this is bringing on what we're calling the close encounter experience, because maybe these beings are connected to an evolutionary awareness that brings in a new level of cognition. The experience of contact with non-intelligence is the key that will open the door to understanding consciousness. So this is why there's this threefold aspect to this question. There's quantum physics, there's consciousness, and there are UFOs. And I think they're all related on some level. So one thing the visitors do by accessing quantum physics is not collapsing the wave function. So they don't create a definitive place in time and space, but live in a multiplicity of superposition. When you're accessing these other... That's one thing I want to say about quantum physics. Some of the keys to thinking quantum is that there's no definitive space you're in. You could be in many places at once. Things are not particles, they're also waves. Everything is entangled. That's why our thoughts are entangled. The field exists as an effect. Consciousness is not in the body, it's in the field. There's many ways of thinking, and this is what John Mack said, other ways of knowing is what gets us into the quantum thinking. Positions, you're in hyperdimensionality. So we need to think that way. Our thinking has become concretized in comprehension. We need to think in a higher level. We need to think abstractly. That's where I was going. Thinking abstractly is the key. I mean, there's a lot more to this. I put that understanding about thinking abstractly and symbols versus signs. There's a whole lecture I give on that. But a symbol is a living, perceptual, instantaneous revelation of the unfathomable. Think about that, the unfathomable, but yet it points the way to knowing. So you look at things and you make it into something, but if you keep it abstract and have a multiplicity of meanings, it's a little harder to maybe communicate in words, but the power of telepathy becomes more available to us. This way of understanding. So I put this symbol at the center of my book as the point of making contact. This asterisk is the point of making contact because it is a way I've summed everything up as a symbol of reaching out, a symbol of a star, a symbol of what we can become. So that's part of my key. So how do we make contact? We make contact by contemplating the greater mind, knowing who we are, awakening to the dream world, sitting in nature. Nature talks to us on multiple dimensions of reality. Making contact is making contact with the deeper core that is actually beyond the human, making contact with the earth, making contact with greater consciousnesses, making contact with all that there is. This is the next level, and the ETs you meet just might be yourself. That's my understanding of all that. So that's just a quick overview of a thesis I'm putting together that will be more expanded, part of my next book, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Were you able to follow that, or did I go through it too quickly?
I thought that was fantastic. I followed you really well. I love that. Like you ended up with this. We are all in contact. Everything is consciousness, even this computer.
We just don't know we're in contact. We have to take off the veils that have hid us from ourselves, from our own greater mind. So thank you, Joan, for bringing that up.
No, I thought that's so expansive in everything to realize that even here, this is actually, I can't see the atoms moving, but they are moving, just slower.
Right, and you know, when you lose or break your cell phone, it doesn't mean you stop getting calls. It means it's out there everywhere. You just get a new phone, you pick up the message. That's the thing. So I think in order to understand the technology of ETs, we have to understand how they think first, how to understand their minds, you know. So I always use the example, when you're talking to like dogs, you're not barking at them. You're talking in the language of, I think, the more evolved being. We have to understand their thought process and get over our very limited way, very linear way of thinking. And when we become multi-dimensional, multi-aware, we can start to tap into these downloads that are multiple dimensions. Like, that's why I liked Kamara Jones's work, because she is showing us the multiple dimensions in action. So that's a little taste of some of those things I'm working on, Neil. And
love it, man.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we should do themed. Well, I don't know if you heard me in the beginning, but I'm starting a monthly Portal to Ascension show. Each are going to be themed, a variety show. And that starts in June. But we can do cosmology of the stars. We can have a whole thing on like white hole, black hole stuff. You know, we should go deeper into these topics.
You know, one of the things I've been studying and also putting together a PowerPoint of is the teachings of Carlos Castaneda. Beyond the peyote and all of that, he talked about moving the assemblage point, and I really have a clear understanding of that. And I just did it with someone, and the assemblage point is where you focus reality. When that moves, your whole perception of reality changes. So I have a whole discussion and presentation I do on that.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to do a course on that. Are we still trying to do that?
Let's do a course on that. Yes, right. Yes.
So, okay, check it out. Marina's not in the room. She's not answering her Instagram, but she was live 7 minutes ago, and she's usually on time. So I think she probably has a time.
Also, her computer sometimes goes, I don't know, she was having some problems.
Let's do this because we really... we have to be on point with time. The only other speaker that's in the room right now is Bridget Renee Holiday. So Bridget, are you okay with going on right now? Are you prepared to go on now? If you can't, understandable, we'll figure something out. But if you're good with doing it right now, let us know, please.
Is Bridget there?
She's not ready.
Oh, not ready. Oh my goodness,
no worries.
gracious me.
You're okay. You're always ready, Bridget. I hear you all the time on Clubhouse. You're always ready.
Yeah, that's a different scenario when you don't have the camera involved.
I know. Oh, I'm glad some people, I'm just looking at the comments. Thank you for your comments.
All right. Okay, getting ready still. We get it. You have to put on your makeup on the 3D universe for us.
I'm just going to put on my chat for people to get my book about making contact.
I'm just going to ask Phil real quick.
Making contact. Phil is always ready. He was born ready, Phil. Thank you. If I'm going to do that in a more expanded. Yeah, trees are sentient beings. Thank you, Stacy, and thank you again for all your comments. Laughter Yoga Babe. You know, while we're waiting, Neil, what I really want to do is just lead like a quick 2-minute meditation.
Yeah, please. Great idea.
Okay. All right. So just everyone, we've been taking in a lot of information here. We're just leading a meditation, Joan. So
perfect.
Close your eyes. Just think of some of the things that stood out today. What came up? What was the thing that you attached to or heard or that stimulated an awareness? So hold on to that for a second and just go deeper. Bring that thought deeper into your being, into your heart, grounding it into who you are so it helps to transform you, helps to awaken a new portion of the mind. And open your crown chakra at the top of your head and just let the cosmos pour into you, the divine thoughts pour into you. Know that you are part of forever, of eternity, of all that is. You, me, us, we are the infinite consciousness that is the forever being. And just feel yourself in that flow for 1 second or a minute. Take a deep breath in. Breathe it out. Breathe it in and blow it out to the world. Breathe it in through your crown again. Blow it out to the cosmos. We are adding to creation. We're adding to forever. We are the beings of totality, of all that is, of ever was, ever will be. Congratulate yourself and know that forever peace. Just breathe it in. Open your eyes, and if there was one thing that you got today, just put a sentence in the chat or see what stands out. I'm always curious, and thank you. We'll do more. Let's do more meditations as these things progress. But
yeah, definitely. And as I said before, this was just like, man, we should just do this. And within seconds, I put it together. But we'll curate it a little more and create panels, discussions, little pauses in between, to really make it so that we integrate the awareness, right?
Yes.
That was a wonderful meditation, Alan. I really liked it. And I want to remind everyone here, you guys are all already in contact with the extraterrestrials. And even if you don't know it, everyone here you wouldn't even be on this program today if you weren't being called by your guides, by the star beings to be here to dive in deep with us. So I want everyone to trust you are already in contact with